Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the StarCraft II Battle Poker League Inaugural Tournament. My name is Concordia, and I am with my fellow casters, Toffee Man and Bot D, to bring you tonight's event. Before we get started with the action, we know there may be a lot of StarCraft fans watching who may not have played Battle Poker before, so we're going to give a quick overview of the game and tournament structure. Battle Poker was initially released as a beta game concept in August and has since grown to become a top 10 arcade game on the North American server. It combines a traditional poker-style game with a StarCraft II auto-battler. Instead of betting on a hand made from a deck of cards, the player's cards are random unit types from the StarCraft II multiplayer with a maximum supply cap of 50 per card. Today, in all our games, we use a 2-card version, so you get 2 cards up to 50 supply each. All the cards are unique, so if one player draws Marines, no one else will get that unit type. The units are more or less the same versions as the base game, although a few have some tweaks and some AI that govern their behavior. There's also a random shared upgrade, such as Terran +2/+2, that is active for each hand. And that's pretty much kind of the structure of our game. So, Bati, as one of our top ELO players, what are you looking for as a good hand?
There's a couple of things that go into making a good battle poker hand. The first, of course, is going to be your supply count. You want to be as close to that 50 supply cap as you possibly can. The second is going to be how robust your unit is, how well it can do both on its own, and how well it can synergize with another unit behind it. A classic example would be getting roaches and hydras. You put your roaches in front of the hydras to tank so the hydras can stay back and do damage. There's also some special cases, such as banelings, for example, do extremely well in the 1 versus 1 pot, where they can blow up everything on the ground very easily. But if you introduce multiple people into the pot with banelings, they start to struggle. So you want to play them specifically in a heads-up pot, versus a unit like Tempest that like to hang back, deal their damage from afar, and stay safe. Those tend to do better in multi-way pots. Finally, keep an eye out for a couple of sleeper units that you may not really think of as doing all that well in a big combat arena like this. Queens are a great example of that. They end up having almost near perfect infuse micro, so they can survive through a lot of attacks. Also, we have Ravens with their old Hunter Seeker missile attack. Look for those to blow up a whole lot of units really, really quickly whenever they're on the battlefield.
All right, yeah, that's a great summary. Thank you. And I also would like to point out to everyone that Bati is the co-author on a unit tier list that we have posted on the Discord. So if you're interested in taking a look at that, please do so. Now we're going to go over to Toffee Man, who's going to give us a little breakdown of how elements from traditional poker show up in Battle Poker.
Sure thing. So in Battle Poker, you have 2 betting rounds, much like you do in real poker, but in this game, instead of betting after seeing all your cards, you get 1 card, and then you can bet on the strength of that, and then a second card where you get to see your full hand, and then make another bet. Because of this, you could originally get a very good card, think you might have a great hand, but not get a great second card, or you could have this perfect second card that really makes your unit comp sing. As you can see on on the graphic on the left on the screen right now, we do even have a swap button. So because that swap button can be used to place whichever unit you like in front when you go into the auto battle. Therefore, if you get units like roaches that are, say, a pretty good tank, or have a unit like hydras, you put them behind there. So I think the other thing that comes through in this is the tournament structure. The tournament structure will be a little different than we normally see. So Concordia, why don't we run through that real quick?
Yes, great. So for tonight, our tournament is completely free to play. We've been soliciting participants in-game and on our Discord for several weeks. We have a 32-player format with 4 qualification tables, of course with 8 players per table, and we'll be using the standard arcade rules. All 4 tables will be played twice, and players will be awarded points as shown on the right. The top 2 players from each qualification table will move on to the final table, and the 3rd and 4th will move on to the runner-up table. Both of these tables will start with 300 chips instead of the arcade standard 100 chips. The top 4 players from the final table will be awarded money prize that has been graciously donated by the Battle Poker developer Skelly Jelly. First place will get $100, second place gets $50, and $30 and $20 for 3rd and 4th place. All players in the final table will get a tournament contender skin, along with the winner of the runner-up table. and results from tonight's event will be used to seed future tournaments. So, Toffee Man, when you take a look at this tournament structure, how do you think that will impact, everyone's play tonight?
So I think, of course, this is the first tournament of this game, and I think a lot of our players are high MMR players, and that's because they play normally to maximize their MMR. So the way that you would normally maximize MMR is surviving late into a table, doing well against the table, and maybe being happy with the second or third place finish, where you're able to, say, beat 5 of the other players to the table and get an increase in MMR. However, that won't be possible in today's tournament. Because of the qualification setup, only 2 players at each of the 4 tables are going to make it through, and they have 2 rounds to prove that they're one of the top 2 players at that table. And the way the points are awarded, with bonus points being awarded to second and first place, it really incentivizes players to go for the gold, really try to be aggressive and get a large stack early so that they can finish first or second. And I think we have a really good group of players coming in today. So, Bhatti, why don't we go through who's exactly at each table?
So going into today, I said originally that tables 1 and 3 were going to be the ones to watch out for. With a couple of last-minute adjustments to our lineup, I think table 2 is going to be the one that we keep an eye on today. Omor02, both really good players. Seebeck just started up recently. He's been killing it the last couple of weeks. Fancy Hippo, I know, has been on the MMR grind as well, so keep an eye on him as well. Going back to table 1, Pone Ranger, DeGoof Man, both really excellent players, but of course we have to take a second to look at Killas. He's number 1 on our MMR leaderboard right now, and he's my current favorite to take the entire tournament. On table 3, we have Zorminter, one of our Aussie favorites. Reach, all of them both been grinding for quite a while. Reach has been playing almost as long as I have. Gar also, I believe, has been on the MMR grind recently, so he's going to be one to look out for as well. Finally, for table 4, Sunja, kind of a sleeper horse, I think. He's been playing a little bit at odd times. He hasn't run into a lot of our other players that are high MMR, so I'm not sure how exposed everybody is to his play style, so he may be a little bit of a surprise. Also, because he'd kill me if I don't mention his name on stream, Bad at Games. He's been playing about as long as I have as well. Definitely going to be one of the favorites to take this table.
All right, with that rundown, I think it's time to get this tournament started.
Are we ready to go into our games?
So I think you just mentioned this, Bhatti, but how much do you think familiarity is going to play into the games today? I think you mentioned a lot of these players have played together before on tables. Do you think we're going to be seeing particular strategies tailored to certain players?
Absolutely. I know several of these players have either been hiding their real strategies or have been trying to look out for players that are on their table and play some games with them to get a feel for how they play. So I think there's going to be a lot of adjustments that people are making just right off the bat going into these games today.
All right, beautiful. And I think you're seeing the AI that we'll be seeing now, or the UI, I should say, that we'll be seeing now for games. So we see our 8 players right in front of us on the table. On the left, you see the hands that each player has been dealt to start. And you'll see gold, their game count, which, as you see for a lot of these players, is very high, and the MMR going into the game.
So right off the bat, I'm surprised to see Pone Ranger fold his 21 Vikings. Sun with the big raise 35 there right off the bat with a 1 ante. That's a little bit of an unorthodox move. But to me, a big raise like that this early on represents some kind of air capital ship, and those Vikings would have been a perfect counter to that. Pone Ranger maybe just wanted to play a little bit more conservative, but that might have been a nice kind of bluff to snap off right at the beginning. Not even a bluff, I'm sorry, but that would have been a nice pot to snap off right at the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like we got Lanzi raising this hand. The 21 Dark Templars coming through, and he's going to put the pressure on the rest of the table, see if they've got what it takes.
So as a reminder to everybody with the Dark Templar in this game only have 6 counters to them. They are Oracles, Ghosts, Ravens, High Templars, Banelings, and Infestors. If you don't have one of those units, you're probably not going to be able to kill those Dark Templars, and they're going to survive the pot for half the pot.
All right, I'm excited to announce that all tables have started. Maybe we can just take a quick look at the multi-table and show everyone the action that's unfolding here. So we have So we can see it's still early. We're going to mainly focus on a couple tables while we do this tonight, but we will be keeping track of all 4 qualification tables as they unfold and hopefully be able to see some of the action across all the tables. We can go back to table 1 now.
This time we have... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, probably the same thing you were. Some looks like he's going in with his carriers here, and we got our first real call. Metalcore coming in with the infestors.
Oh, and Metalcore also backing it up with 25 Stalkers and only 1 Baneling for Zonk. That's got to not be fun to draw after getting started with those carriers.
The single Baneling's got to be like a knife in Zonk's heart here. And after that raise, I can't see him continuing his hand.
No, absolutely not. The 6 carriers are just not enough this early in the game for as big as these bets are.
Yeah, it's the truth. And it looks like we're on to the next one. Funny, we haven't seen any showdowns yet. I think a lot of the money's being made before we can even get to the point of 2 units clashing it out.
You know, that was one of my predictions for tonight. I feel like play is going to be a little bit slower overall. People are going to play a little bit more deliberately, but that deliberate play is going to lead to fewer showdowns. So I think we're actually going to see the antes advance a little bit more aggressively than you would in a traditional arcade game here today.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I think first time any of these players are playing with real money on the line, so they got to be thinking that this is their chance to show their skills.
Oh, unfortunate. Killa's making the raise with his 19 Dark Templar. Unfortunately, Goofman has 2 counters to Dark Templar, both the High Templar and the Ghost. The Ghost can EMP to uncloak the Dark Templar, and the High Templar are able to cast their Psionic Storm over the Dark Templar, even though they can't see them.
All right, well, the Goofman with the very small raise. Interesting. And here's our first showdown. And oh boy, those High Templar storms.
There they go.
Oh no. That was brutal.
Oh, goodness. I gotta love seeing the High Templar Storms. Just such efficiency that the AI allows them to.
That was a nice pickup from Goofman, bringing him to 2nd place right now.
Yeah, I think Goofman must have been a smaller... That was a pretty decently sized pot, so Goofman must have been a smaller stack going into that pot to only be 2nd after winning really one of the first bet pots there is. And wow, a community pot is all checked on this one.
Oh, goodness. We have a full 8 players getting their 2nd card here. A couple of noteworthy ones to see. Killos with 8 Broodlords and 12 Corruptors. Metalcore with 12 Oracles and 17 High Templar. Goofman with his 15 Dark Templar and 5 Mutalisks. Lanzy here with 97 Banelings and 4 Tempests.
You gotta like Metalcore's small raise there, being like, all right, guys, who's serious here? Everybody's only got 2 golden. Let's see who's really wants to play. I'm actually betting. And now we're seeing who's ready to play.
And the thing is that he has a legitimate hand here. It's okay to make that small kind of bet just to kind of sweeten the pot a little bit, get a little bit more money in there. It does kind of accomplish the same thing that you said, is, you know, just see who wants to be serious about this hand and who just wants to go ahead and get out of it. With that re-raise from Sun, though, with his 7 Thors and his 8 Phoenix, this might be an interesting hand to show down.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping for calls, because when I look at these 3 hands that are still in, I have no idea who's going to take this. I think maybe the 2/2 Terran upgrades put these Thors over the top.
Could be, but let's remember that the Psy Storms are not going to be affected by those armor upgrades on the Thors, so...
Oh, absolutely.
Here we go. Storm going down all over the place, all over the Broodlords, the Corruptors. Phoenix is going down. Thor's finally going down as well. It looks like Kellis is going to take the pot here.
Yeah, I think the Thors didn't get their shots in at that Zerg Air Army, and the Zerg Air Army was able to just clear it out real quick. And Killis takes it down.
So as we take a quick look across the other tables, on table 2, Fancy Hippo is off to a strong lead with 152 gold. On table 3, we also... Oh yeah, we'll take a quick look at table 2. We can see Fancy Hippo's lead here. Kira not looking so good with only 56 gold. What do you guys think about this table so far?
Well, I mean, yeah, definitely you're seeing Kira as a low pot. Looks like he's going to split this pot, so he's going to get some of that gold back. So he's not completely out of it yet, but it's looking like this looks pretty standard. Good to see Fancy Hippo really get a foothold into the game. He's a strong player, and I'm thinking we'll see him try to consolidate that gold lead.
Great. And now moving on to table 3, we also have Olim on this table in a strong position to start off in the 5th hand here. 160 gold among the last place with 71 gold.
If we could get our table 3 observer to turn off the allied colors.
Oh no.
I'll make sure that they get that message. And then finally, as we take a quick look at table 4, Sunshine and Badak Games in the lead with Imit and Dragon in last place here. But all games still, plenty of play left in all the tables.
Bennett,
Poker to be played.
Bennett just took down that pot, so now he's up there, up in second. Yeah, let's see. Sunshine, as you said, kind of the unknown property at this table. Really looking like he's got a bit of a lead here with 40 extra gold to go with his 100 to start.
Just to clarify on something that happened on screen right there, the antes went up twice in a row from 1 to 2, then 2 to 3. The ante structure in this game has antes going up both every 4 hands and every 10 minutes. It's structured to finish a public game of 8 players in roughly an hour of game time, so you can be guaranteed not to have to sit through a really long extended heads-up match.
Very true, and I think the antes are very good for, I guess, making sure players are playing, really encouraging betting to occur, because when the antes start going up and your stack's getting short, you got to get your money in the pot if you want to win anything, if you want to have any chance at all. This one looks like a strong cleanup for this Protoss army. There you see Badak Games using the surrender mechanic. So there is a mechanic in the game where if you type the word surrender in a hand, you'll automatically lose that hand just to speed up the game a little bit. It's something you can do if you feel very strongly that you have no chance of winning that pot.
Okay, why don't we go back and see how our first table is doing here?
So, big pot at the first table we walked in on. Sun and Pawn Ranger. 2 strong hands going at it.
This is going to be a fun one to watch with those 20 Ravens with the Hunter Seeker missiles coming up on the carriers and the roaches of Pawn Ranger.
Oh man, storms everywhere. Hunter Seekers coming in. Oh, you gotta like Sun's hand here.
Explosions everywhere.
That hand really showed the strength of the Raven in this current meta of the game.
Yeah, I think Bhatti called it out in our intro that the Raven, the Hunter Seeker missiles, when the units stack up and they don't really do much microing away, really doing a bunch of damage and getting in a lot there.
And speaking of, it's Pawn Ranger waking up with the 22 Ravens this time. Metal Core coming up with 12 Void Rays, and Killas this time with the 8 carriers.
And as you said, all 3 of them look like they're ready to play this pot. We're seeing the other hands, much kind of weaker hands, dropping out. Let these 3 decide it between themselves.
No real follow-ups except for Pawn Ranger with his 3 battle cruisers. I can't imagine he's going to get away without betting here, and he does go all in. Metalcore with a really tough call with really only the 12 Void Rays. You can't really count for much for those 5 Marines. Killer's making the call. Oh my goodness.
You gotta think those Colossi are just sitting ducks. Oh no.
The problem is that he may blow up his own battle cruisers with the Colossi sitting on top of him.
That's true. These Ravens gotta get on the carrier soon, or else there's no hand here.
It looks like most of the Ravens have already fired their shot. It's going to be a matter of can they survive long enough to get one more shot off. Looks like they can.
There it is, Ravens. Too many Ravens, man. 22 is just way too many. Easily done, and congrats to Pawn Ranger on the double up, and he shoots up from last place to second.
So we almost lost Game 3 to a lag spike there, but I'm happy to report that everything has been resolved.
Good to hear. I think here on table 1 we got Lanzio with the 21 wild cards raising. Have we explained the concept of wild cards in this game yet, Bhatti?
We have not. So wildcard is a special unit that you can be dealt. It works just the same as any other units in the game. So if you're dealt wildcards, nobody else can have wildcards. Each wildcard unit is a 2-supply unit that is rolled out of any unit that can be in the game. So you can have up to 25 of them in one card. You could roll 7 Thors and 8 battle cruisers. You could roll 25 Marines or anything in between. But the main thing is that each unit is rolled individually, so you actually get a nice collection of different units.
I personally love the wild cards. I like that you can get almost anything, and it really kind of adds like a whole new flavor to the game when you draw them. And it looked like Lanzi, with his wild cards, is able to, bully Sun out of that last pot. Big raise by Zunk here on his Ghosts.
Those are a wonderful unit simply because they counter so many of our high tier units that are in the game. They counter spellcasters, they counter a lot of Protoss units with their shields, and with the snipe they do well against biological units as well. So really it's just sort of a jack of all trades. As long as they don't get Zerg rushed down and they get some kind of protection to be able to get all their shots off, they can do some damage.
I think you saw the strength there of the wildcard unit as all the different units and really the widespread that they had overwhelmed the small amount of Ghosts put out for an easy win for the Goofman. All right, next hand. Nothing really jumping out at me on this one. We'll see how the players play it.
Well, we have Goofman with 10 Archons, Killas with 18 Hydralisks. Would be the two main ones I'm looking at here. Although we have it checked around, nobody willing to put money in the pot yet. Goofman just picks up 3 Thors, decides to go ahead and bet it, gets a couple of folds right away. Metalcore considering it with his 22 Mutalisks. Not the greatest hand to go up against those 10 Archons with.
No, I think if Metalcore saw Goofman's hand, he'd run fast and run quick. He's really just running into the straight anti-air comp here.
Lanzi picking up the 17 Phoenix as well. That's going to be a little scary.
4-way pot. This is going to be interesting. The auto battling is going to really, whoever gets focus fired is really going to get parked in this one.
And unfortunately, fortunately, really, that's part of the RNG of this game, as it is with any auto battler. You're at the whim of the AI. In this game, it's written pretty darn well, I would say. It does targeting priority. The spellcasters all target very effectively, but still, sometimes the AI just makes mistakes. It doesn't target the right things down, and you end up losing a fight because of it.
And I like the way that Lanzi's hand played out there. Sitting on those giant amount of Phoenixes, he just let the Colossi clean up all the ground units and then said, okay, thanks a lot. Now I'm going to take you out and win this one for me.
So it looks like the blinds are already up to 6 here. It's getting pretty deep, or getting pretty short stacked here. Zonk at the bottom of the leaderboard with only 45 chips, sitting on 7-8 bets left. Lanzi on top with a good 25 bets to go. So still plenty of poker to be played, but we're definitely getting down to the point where some of these players are going to be looking for an opportunity to shove all in and double up.
For sure, when you're sitting on less than 10 blinds, or less than 10 antes, I should say, you got to be thinking, I have to make a move soon. Something's got to give, because I can't sit around and wait for these hands to pass me by.
It's especially true with these full 8-player tables with the antes. Because when you're playing a game with antes instead of blinds, the more players at the table, the bigger the pot is to start. So the bigger a bet that you have to be able to make to scare people away. If you wait until you fold down to only 2, 3, 4 bets left in your stack, when you make that eventual all-in, everybody's getting such good pot odds they'd be silly not to call.
Okay, so getting a note right now from production. As we discussed before, there was a lag spike on table 3, and it does appear that it did drop. But we are going to restart from replay where we can, so it's I think production's working on that now. But we'll stick here on table 1 and see the action. Looks like Pawn Ranger versus So coming in with, oh no, the 23 medevacs.
Well, unfortunately, medevacs are at the bottom of our tier list for a reason in this game. Even though they've been tuned to have twice the regular healing rate, they just really don't do enough healing to make a difference in most situations.
It's interesting. He did have the Ghost. It seems like that would be maybe the one opportunity for medevacs to make an impact.
Oh, my favorite's always the medevacs with Ultralisks.
Oh,
Gets his
geez.
nice big tanky Ultralisk and some medevac healing behind that. Oh man,
That's gotta be rough for an opponent. It's like, how can I bust through this brick wall?
the regenerating brick wall at that.
Exactly. All right, so Zunk all in, liking those 5 carriers. He says, "This is my time."
Oh no, but he's running up against Lindsay's 21 Vikings. We had this situation in the first hand, remember, at the table. Sun making that big raise with the carriers, Pone Ranger having the Vikings and just not able to make the call with them. Let's see if Lindsay can make that call this time around.
I think Lindsay on the chip lead might be interested in playing this.
But
Ladderman's in there,
Ladderman
too.
also making the call with the 20 wild cards. I didn't even see those on the list.
Well, Lindsay. Ooh, interesting. So we're going to see a mothership here.
We are. That's going to be some cloaked carriers, but I think the Marines are going to make quick work of the mothership, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the wildcard units, we're getting a lot of damage coming in, and oh no, there it goes.
Yep. GG, well played to Zunk, our first casualty at table 1, going out in 8th place, earning 1 point.
All right, so we're down to 7. A nice pickup for Ladderman. I think he's now the chip leader.
By
And
1.
By 1, yeah, a single chip giving him the lead, and also it looks like he's starting the betting off here with these 9 Void Rays.
Those 9 Void Rays may be running into a problem with those 19 Vikings. I don't know. That's a little bit dicey in numbers to be putting up against each other.
Metalcore highly valuing his wild cards. I think wild cards, from what I've been seeing of different players, is the most polarizing unit. I think some players very highly rate them and other players don't. So it's interesting to see how they're bet.
I know for me personally, I'm not a big fan of them unless I've got at least 20 of them. You need to have a good count of them to be able to have the chances to roll those big units that you really want to get out of the wildcard units. Hopefully to have enough support behind them as well to keep them alive. But really, like, the more of the units you can roll, like Thors, battle cruisers, Ultralisk, carriers, the better value you're getting for it supply-wise.
Okay, so we had some technical difficulties in Lobby 3. Our ref/host, William, was booted, so unfortunately we cannot continue to cover that game on stream right now. For simplicity's sake, everyone decided that we're going to continue to play the game. There's been some concern about whether or not Resume from Replay will work, and at this point, the game has been developed long enough, so they're going to continue playing, and we're going to get some text updates, and I'll make sure to share those with you about how that table is progressing. I do also have to announce that in Table 4, Baddick Games was eliminated in last place.
Oh no, my pick for Table 4.
So maybe we can take a quick look at Qualification Table 4. Now, we did have a no-show, so this is a 7-person lobby. Unfortunately, one of our players from this lobby was unable to make it. But Baddick Games getting only 2 points. Early knockout here, first knockout of the Qualification Round 1. Do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Oh, he's not going to be fun to be around for the next couple of days.
Oh, no. Poor Baddick.
No,
I mean,
he's a great guy. He's going to come back in the second game and give it his all. I'm sure he is, but he's got to be disappointed with that finish.
you have to think that a player who finishes last place is probably going to be unable to make it out on the first, second place table. But a strong finish in round 2 could probably get him into that secondary table, and he can still fight for an avatar there.
At least he did get 7th place, not 8th, so he will still get 2 points for this table. And with a win in the second table, perhaps, depending on how everyone else places, he could still get it. So I'm hesitant to say it's completely over for Baddick Games, but it's not looking very good for him at this point.
Yeah, he's gonna need both a very strong performance in game 2 and some of the other players to kind of get lucky in how the other players finish. I think a combination of the two.
Yeah.
We're swapping table 2 now. Big all in happening. Looks like.
Oh, did we just miss it?
Or we just missed the big all in. But it looks like we have a nice hand going on here between Rokus and Goatee.
So taking a quick look at this table, it looks like Umor with only 18 gold. And I'm not... What is the ante-level for 18? We should be at 4 right now?
For 18, we should be at 4 plus the 30 minutes would make it 8.
8. So Umar looking in desperate straits right now.
Yeah, Omar's got to dig deep here. If he gets any hand, he's got to go in. All right, table 1 now. Swapping over to table 1, we're seeing a pretty big hand between Lanzi, Metalcore, and Killas.
Killas only good with the 23 High Templar and one Thor. Not really sure what he was thinking here, but it's going to pay off at least against those Reapers.
Yeah, Reaper's going down fast. Maybe the battle cruisers able to tank through these storms are going to be the ones that clean this up. Yeah, it's looking like that battle cruiser Archon army is just going to get the job done and take down a big pot for Lanzi. So Lanzi taking out both Killas and Metalcore on one hand. Oh man.
Oh wow, Killa's already out in 6th place, Metalcore in 7th. Of course, Killa's getting the higher placing because he started the hand with more chips.
Some big movement in table 1 here.
Yeah, and I think, not to say the commentator curse is real, but Bhatti, that's another one of your picks, isn't it?
Absolutely, man. I'm not feeling too good about the rest of my picks, man. If I said your name in the intro, then duck and cover because something's coming your way.
You better be looking out.
I think any of our StarCraft fans here might be familiar with the Artosis curse, so I think we now have a Bhatti curse here.
Maybe the beginning of it. But we still have plenty of qualifications left to play, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Ladderman in a strong position in table 1 right now.
Ladderman here with 100 Zerglings. You know it's not that great of a hand, but it just feels good to see that 100 number right there on your card.
I like this.
Getting a wraparound on the Archons.
I like that double check around, and now we have a five-man showdown. So it's going to be just a crazy all-out war. It's looking like the all-out war is... well, at least Lanzi's going to see some of the pop because of his 7 Dark Templars.
Those Dark Templar just chilling down underneath everything, looking up, going, hey, man, look at all that stuff going on up there. Glad we're down here.
Yeah, really. I think that's probably our first split pot we've seen on stream. So can you explain split pots real quick, Bhatti?
Yeah, so just for the sake of time, all combat in the game maxes out at 1 minute of game time. There's also a trigger that will fire where if there's no combat for 7 seconds, no attacks or spells being cast, the combat will also end early. When the fight is over, any player that is left alive, even with just 1 unit, gets an equal share of the pot. Any leftover chips will be distributed randomly, but besides that, it doesn't matter if you have 1 unit or 100 units left, you get an equal share of the pot.
Yeah, it's good to see, and that's I think one of the strengths of Dark Templars is that even if you run into an air unit, if it's not one of the ones that reveals them or uncloaks them, you might still be able to at least get a split pot just off of the fact that they can't hit you.
Oh, look at these Liberators. These Liberators.
Speaking of not being able to look up and fire.
Going to be Goofman out in 4th place, earning 5 points, I believe it is.
I didn't even see Sun go down in 5th. All right, so now we're down to 3. Ladderman, Lanzi, Pawn Ranger, nearly equal stacks. Ladderman with like a small lead. I think it's all coming down to this for these 3 players.
Well, we're in a situation where we have a decent amount of poker to be played. Everybody's got about 15 to 18 blinds left, so there's still room to make a couple of bluffs, make a couple of value bets. We're going to see some good hands here, I think.
Why don't we take a quick look at table 2 right now? We have a couple players close to being eliminated. Big hand right now.
Interesting. All 8 players still alive in table 2. But 2 players all in here, Holy Ball and Goatee. And it's looking like Holy Ball is already eliminated from this hand. Can Goatee survive this carrier rush?
I don't see it happening. Even with the 2/2 upgrades, I think those carriers are going to take it down, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's looking like that's the case. Yep. Holy Ball and Goatee out. Looks like Goatee's out in 8th and 7th, and Weird feedback on that stream. So let's go to table 1. Back to this three-man table. I think this is going to be where we see some real interesting bet patterns that emerge. Up to now, we've been seeing what these large count tables look like, but now we're finally seeing what it looks like when we're down to just a couple players who have to battle it out amongst each other and are being forced by the antes to bet and play really as much as they can.
Quick update from table 3, even though we can't see it. CAO and Rhino Masher are both out. So we still have 6 players left battling it out in table 3. In table 4, we had Dragon also eliminated. So we have 5 remaining players. Looks like a pretty well distributed table for all those guys though. So still some action over there.
Looking like Laserface is all in on table 4 as well. Maybe we can switch there real quick. Yeah, here we go. Laserface all in with these Ghosts and Dark Templars running into, Imit's got the Ravens. So
yeah, the Ravens are going to do it. Oh my goodness.
Oh man. Poor Laserface. Really ran right into the detector.
Yeah, Ravens with wild cards. Even 5 wild cards with 19 Ravens. That's more than enough to win most hands, I would say.
Very true. And Laserface out in 5th on table 4. And as the play continues.
Drunk Archon waking up with 22 Hellbats here. Hellbat's not normally a hand that you're really looking for in this game, but when you're down to only 4-handed, you have to broaden your horizons a little bit, open up with some hands that you wouldn't really expect to otherwise. In this particular case, he's got a good enough count to where I'd say it'd be worth making a bet here, actually, instead of checking it down.
Hellbats joined by Marauders for an interesting Terran army there. But you gotta I like Imit's raise here. 11 Immortals are just very strong and help him take down that pot.
Yep, and Emmett waking up once again here with a strong hand. 8 Battle Cruisers to Drunk Archon, 6 Ultralisks, and 9 Broodlords from Bene. Sunja with 11 Adepts, probably not going to be too active in this hand.
For sure, and it looks like big bets coming in from Bene and Emmett. So I think we're going to see some action here. Bene might feel committed to this pot. Oh no.
Not quite.
The raise was too much. Too rich for his blood. So table 1 here, it looks like Lanzi is out. Lanzi out in 3rd place and down to the heads up. I think for the purposes of what a heads-up table looks like, I think it might be good to focus on table 1 now. We're going to see some fast and furious betting. So much so that I don't even think we can commentate exactly on every hand until there's more than one bet made.
Well, Pwn Ranger playing this very aggressively, raising every single hand so far that we've seen and taking it down every single time. Ladderman's going to have to pick a hand at some point to make a stand on. This may be the one, but he kind of picked a weird one to start to make his stand with 4 Lurkers and 8 Hellbats.
Poor Ladderman said, I gotta get into one of these hands, and ran basically the best thing that Pawn Ranger could have gotten. That was very unfortunate.
Now, unfortunately, Ladderman's down to the point where he just has no fold equity when he goes all in. The bet's so small that Pwn Ranger should be technically calling with any card that he gets, knowing that he can get pretty much anything for a second card. Ladderman was
hand for Ladderman. Yeah.
Oh goodness, yeah, he is going to get the double up here, but it's not going to be a whole lot of chips in Ladderman's bank, so he's still going to have some work to do to come back into this game.
Yeah, Pawn Ranger knew that he finally lost one, so he goes into the surrender, says, "All right, we'll go back to the drawing board. I still got a lot more chips than you. I think I can force you out of this game," and he does so again with another raise.
No, Pwn Ranger with 13 Oracles this time to the 24 Zerglings of Ladderman. I can't see Ladderman trying to make this call the way he's been playing so far, although he really should.
I'd say he doesn't even have another ante. This is it. It's now or never, but he folds it. And he's going to bet it all on these High Templar and these 2 carriers. Hopefully they can carry him through.
Simply not a good matchup for Ladderman. I don't see this holding up very well.
Well, the Marines are going to go down pretty fast. But these Yamatos, it's looking like too much.
Yeah.
GG called by Pwn Ranger.
Pwn Ranger, a little bit of an offensive GG there.
A little bit.
But
Yep.
he was right to say so. Pwn Ranger taking down the table with Ladderman in second. Congrats to Pwn Ranger. He's going to get the full 10.
And that happened
We
in 45 minutes
over now
flat.
to table 2.
All right, well, we'll make the quick jump over to table 2 here. We have now, I think since we've last been at table 2, it looks like Kira's out at 6. And a big hand now between Fancy Hippo and 0-2.
The 0-2 with nothing but 9 Void Rays and 2 Colossi against the 12 Archons and 3 Hydralisks of Fancy Hippo. I could see Fancy Hippo taking this if he breaks the call, but he just can't make it.
Fancy Hippo, apparently 4 toes only, so that means he couldn't play that hand. Although I wonder, that hand was really close. I don't know who would have won it in the showdown, to be honest.
Feeling that the Archons are going to take it. I think that the Void Rays bunch up a little bit too much and the splash damage would be able to take them down, but I've been wrong before.
Holy Ball calling me out for his questionable name for our PG-13 stream. But you know what, Holy Ball? That's on you, man.
Here we go with Lurkers and Void Rays against the Mutalisks and Archons. Oh, those Archons, just not enough to cut through the Lurkers.
Yeah, and those Mitas hard countering the Void Rays as well.
Yeah, you had to like that. You had to like that comp. And now the Mutas are going to try cleaning up, but I don't know. This is going pretty slowly. It looks like it might be a split pot.
So I think we should head over to table 4 where there's been some recent action. We're actually now in our head-to-head phase of this table.
All right.
Ian and Sunshia are both going out recently in the past couple hands, so we are now to our heads-up phase with Emmett and Drunk Archon.
So that's Bene in 4th and Sunshine 3rd. And Emmett a strong player and really deep stack here. You gotta like his chances to force Drunk Archon out of this.
Oh,
really,
the betting is coming fast and furious.
Well, here's the all-in. I think, you got the Void Rays, you got the Carriers. Both sides say, this is my hand, let's do it.
Those 41 Reapers, if only there was more on the ground than those Colossi for him to shoot at.
Oh, man. Yeah, and it looks like the Colossi we're tearing through them pretty quickly. Now it's Void Rays versus Carriers. Who can take it down? The Void Rays. Drunk Archon doubling up and taking the chip lead.
Pretty even stacks overall. We're both looking at about 10 playable blinds.
So I love that raise from Emmett there. Emmett going straight in with the hand with 1 Dark Templar. How strong is 1 Dark Templar in a head-to-head battle?
You know what? It's still pretty darn strong. It definitely opens it up to a couple of other ways to get killed. For example, Lurker Splash, Hellbat Splash, Tank Splash. But, 1 Dark Archon or 1 Dark Templar is still all you need to survive. And if it gets through, you get half the pot. So it's still definitely a playable hand, especially in a heads-up situation like this.
For sure. And I think it heads up too. I think aggression, as we've been seeing, aggression is always getting rewarded. So if you have something that, like a Dark Templar, which has a high probability of at least being able to split a pot, you got to bet it, I think. So I like that bet, and I like the fact that even though he got called with a hand that's ostensibly better, he still got half the pot.
Yeah, I always remember...
You can play for it in Battle Poker. You play for those split pots. You don't have to win every hand. It's not as definitive as normal poker in terms of the hand hierarchy, what beats what, and what will or won't win a hand, in the 1 minute.
It definitely means that the value of fold equity goes up a little bit, because if the opponent folds to your raise, you've already won the pot without a chance of having a split pot or even potentially losing.
And now it looks like Emmett all in here, Drunk Archon also in, and oh boy, the Liberators. Oh no.
Liberator Archon. I'm sorry, Liberator Raven.
Yeah, the Liberator and Ravens were just too much. The Hunter Seeker missiles. Wow. Emmett really taking basically they're pretty much even going into that hand. So Emmett doubling up means that Drunk Archon's against the ropes.
Yep, Drunk Archon on his last hand here with 35 Reapers and 1 Siege Tank against the 8 Carriers and 22 Corruptors of Emmett. I think Emmett's going to take this down. Drunk Archon doesn't have any plays left.
Emmett coming in with his 6 carriers and just a quick surrender.
The immediate surrender. GG, well played by Emmett, taking down the table in first place.
All right, so let's I guess let's go to table 2, our last active table. Congrats to Emmett, and well played to both Emmett and Drunk Archon, our first and second place players from table 4.
All right, looks like we have 24 level. Our antes are at level 24 here at this table, leaving basically everybody short stacked. 0-2 with about 10 bets left. Fancy Hippo now sitting on about 12. Everybody else on 2, 3, 4 bets. They're gonna have to pick a hand and run with it real quick. This may be the hand for Jam with 24 infestors. If he can get it heads up against any of the other players in the pod, he's got a really good shot at winning this.
And I do have a quick update from table 3. Unfortunately, we cannot switch over to it right now, but in 5th place, Zorminter was knocked out. And that was just a couple minutes ago, just this past minute. And 6th place was Zorminter. 5th place is Ludwig. And H-Mong is winning. Breach is in 2nd place. Olam in 3rd place. And Gar is in 4th.
All right, so this is a big hand here. 0-2 and Jam. Jam really jamming here, putting his chips in the middle, trying to get back into this game.
The Swarm Host's going to be his last hope in this game. If they can survive long enough, then he's going to be able to split the pot. It looks like all that 0-2 has left to fire at them is a single carrier and a single battle cruiser. Probably not going to be enough to kill everything here.
Yeah, this is looking like an easy split pot. Too tanky. And now we're going to go to our split view here. We're going to see table 4, Emmett and Drunk Archon as our leaders there, our winners there, and Pone Ranger and Ladderman as the winners on table 1. So I think we have some of our first results in. We'll go back now to table 2, our last active table that's available for streaming, where we see 0-2 going in heavily on some wild cards that won him the pot. I think let's talk about this quickly, Bati. How important is it to win pots before showdowns even occur in these sorts of games?
Oh, extremely. You're taking the chance out of it if you can get your opponents to fold before the showdown happens. You don't have to worry about any kind of suckouts or bad beats, as in particular in this game, somebody potentially playing a really low tier hand that just happens to counter your units that you have. It also prevents the possibility of any kind of split pots, any sort of sneakiness through Queens or Swarm Host or Dark Templar. It just means you take down the full pot right away without any opposition. So I'd say it's very important.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're going to definitely see a showdown this time, though, as Omar is all in. And Fancy Hippo and 0-2 are both applying the pressure to him. Fancy Hippo really looking strong with his hand, for sure. The Raven Templar combo, I think, is going to be able to run through almost anything.
Fancy Hippo making that raise with the Ravens. I really like it here. He's trying to put the pressure on 0-2, who's already got a good number of chips in the pot. Even as the chip leader, you don't want to be giving away everything to your lower ranked enemies. Yeah,
I like the way that Fancy Hippo didn't let 0-2 even get a sniff at this pot. He said, "Listen, I've got Omar. He's out. I'm going to take him down. Or am I?"
No, those EMPs. I was accidentally muted, but I was trying to call out that those ghosts are going to EMP the energy right off those High Templar and Ravens and win that hand for him.
That said, I don't think Fancy Hippo took too much of a beat there, as Omar really only had 24, 25 chips. He probably made that money back on forcing 0-2 out of the pot. So either way, Fancy Hippo, not taking too much of a chip hit. That said, looks like we got 4 players in this hand. Omar has folded his small stack, maybe trying to outlast Rokus to get that extra point. Now we're seeing basically all checks going around. 0-2, last opportunity, and nope, 0-2 is going to say 4 men in.
Here come the Banelings all the way across the battlefield. Just not quite enough to take everything out, I don't think. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I'm seeing a little bit of stuttering on my stream.
Yeah, well, even with the banelings coming through and killing a lot of the ground units, we still got the 3 Tempest up here for Rokus and Jam's Broodlords coming down, so it's really going to be a battle between those two.
Well, we know that the Tempests do get their bonus damage against massive area units. They deal 80 damage a shot, so it's, well, I was going to say it might be possible for the Tempest to take it down with 10 seconds already being called out. I don't know if it's going to happen, and it's just too little too late.
All right, so it looks like Omar not able to outlast Rokus and is now all in on the ante. And Rokus now has the opportunity to maybe say, you know what, if I don't have to hand here, I'll let Omar play, and I'll take fourth if he'll get eliminated by the other players.
Omar picking up 21 High Templar and 12 Stalkers, not a terrible hand if he can get it heads up against somebody else, but of course with only 22 chips left and the antes being at 32, like you said, he's already all in. He doesn't have any plays left.
And it looks like the rest of the table. Oh well, nope. Scratch that. Fancy Hippo says Protoss units are upgraded, and I got 10 Tempest, baby. Let's see you beat that. As he doubles his bet, and we get a call from 0-2.
0-2 making the call with those Infestors. Not a big fan of this call. Infestors you really want to have heads up, and he should have known that Omar was already all in the pot, so those Infestors are simply not going to be as effective as they would have been if he was in a heads up pot.
For sure. So I think that we've talked about this, or you talked about this briefly before, but there are certain cards, certain units that are much better in the 1v1 scenario. And I think we're seeing now that the Infestors not so good in this large group scenario, and with Tempest finally getting through the Terrans, it's looking like the infested Terrans, it looks like they're going to be cleaning up the rest of the units.
Yep, that seems to be the case right now. Unfortunately, those Infestors just don't have enough energy to be able to get enough Fungals and infested Terrans off in a multi-way pot to really be effective and kill anything.
So I'll say my stream did stutter a bit there, but it does look like from the way the pot shook out that it did split. The Tempest didn't have enough time to clean out the rest of 0-2's units. But that said, Omar out in 5th at table 4. So now we're down to Fancy Hippo, 0-2, Rokus and Jam. Rokus, really the short stack here, almost all in on this blind, and he did fold. He did fold his hand, so he's down to 9 gold going into the next hand.
Yeah,
You just wanted
from table 3. Sorry, H-Mong is in a large lead right now. Apparently, he has 3 times the amount of the chips as the rest of the players. So, looking like table 3 might also be closing out soon, and we'll get the final placements for everyone soon on that table.
Very cool. All right, so Rokus all in on the ante. He's got a nice little Terran army here of 8 ghosts, 7 Widow Mines, but checks all around.
Here come the Banelings once again.
Right at him. Sometimes I think in these tournament structures, it might be okay to check all around when one player's all in on the ante, just to make sure, hey, let's have all our units go in and really reduce any chance that player has of being involved in this game anymore. And you saw that come to fruition with those Banelings. Rokus out in 4th. 0-2, Fancy Hippo and Jam playing for the gold.
These antes are sky high by now. Fancy Hippo and Jam basically have 1 move left, all in. 0-2 has a little bit of room to kind of play a little bit of poker, make the min raise, see if he can knock them out and take some cheap pots, but at this point it's 0-2's game to lose.
For sure, and with that heavy stack, 0-2 just gets dealt Broodlords like a boss. Goes in hard and takes that pot down. Another good hand for all 3 players. This might lead to some action.
Fancy Hippo going to be a little bit sad if 0-2 stays in the hand with those ghosts being able to EMP the Ravens.
And you gotta like Jam pushing it. Like you said, he's got 1 move left, and he's gonna take it right here. 5 Tempest is enough for an all-in.
0-2 making the deep stack call.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an even hand. Ghost might be able to take those shields off. But the Broodlord, I've overlooked one thing. The Broodlords will not be able to fight those Tempests head-to-head. So once
no, they will not.
Yeah, the lack of anti-air is gonna prevent him from doing any damage to these Tempests.
Well, yeah, I think for sure the Tempest coming through, and Jam is going to double up and really sit well in second place now. Fancy Hippo now on that short stack. He's got only the one immortal.
I wouldn't call it sitting well in second place right now. He's still only sitting on just under 5 bets, which is not a spot that anybody wants to be in when they're at a poker table fighting for their survival.
Oh, no, for sure. But you got to, I guess I was speaking relatively to Fancy Hippo, who's really has his back against the wall. And so he has a good opportunity here to maybe get one of those top 2 finishes. All right, 0-2 takes that pot down. Looked like a check all around. And now, we're seeing Fancy Hippo basically all in blind. Decides to put his last 3 chips in. Swarm hosts, we're betting it all on you.
And on table 3, Ludwig is now in first place with 456 gold. H. Mong has 200 gold. The top 2 contenders looking like they might be moving on. We also do have Olem with only a little stack left in table 3.
It's funny to see it seems the players in chat realize that some tournament style playing happening here. Specifically, Jam just looking out last Fancy Hippo to get that second place finish, and now, I think that might be the case. The 0-2 17 Ravens and Mothership are going to just keep slowly working their way towards those swarm hosts.
Unfortunately, this is a side effect of the AI with the target finding programmed into it. The swarm hosts are just sitting a little bit too far outside of the range of these Ravens for the Ravens to catch on to that they're there and to go nuke them into oblivion. So they're going to survive for the split pot. Fancy Hippo lives to see another hand.
Very lucky. You saw one Hunter Secret Missile get off there, and he really almost had it there. See, Jam a little upset about the AI there, but I think it was working as intended. Just the way the swarm hosts sit back make it hard for the Ravens to attack in the middle.
Yeah, like I said, it's a known quirk with the AI right now. It's something we're going to get fixed very soon, but we only had enough time to make so many updates to the game. Skelejelly's got a lot on his plate right now, and we didn't want to make any updates right before game day for the tournament, so we made we put a freeze on any updates as of about a week ago.
And we do have a final update from table 3. It is done. Olem is the winner of table 3.
Olem.
Olem. I am so sorry if I've been butchering your name.
0-2 Siege Tanks sitting in the back this entire fight and just railing on the other units. I think we saw he isn't able to take those queens down in time. I think we saw the effect that Botji described of awesome micro from the queens to keep them healed up. That said, top 2 times 0-2 and Jam going down head to head.
And these blinds are massive. I just want to point out there's only 800 gold in the game, and we are at antes of 60 per player right now. So realistically, left in the game, there's only 12, 13 bets left available. So we're going to see lots of all-ins, lots of really sick calls, lots of really sick fights, I think, coming up here.
For sure, and it looks like we're starting with the split pot as we see the classic DT versus air unit finish. All right, 0-2 getting Jam out of this hand. Jam's basically all in blind.
Oh, Jam waking up with the Ravens and the battle cruisers. He should take this no problem.
But he picked a good hand to be all in blind on.
Now, if only he could have had this, 3 hands ago when he still had a little bit of a stack.
Insta surrender from 0-2. I don't even want to see it. It's too gross. All right, well, again, now 0-2 waking up with 7 carriers. You got to like this one.
0-2, of course, with those carriers, like you said, against the Ultralists, they're not going to be able to do a whole lot. However, Zerg does have +3/+3, giving the Ultralists a total of, I believe, 6 armor. So those carriers are actually not going to be able to do a whole lot of damage to those Ultralisks.
That said, you got to like the Protoss army here. The 7 carriers are just too many.
It's really going to come down to whether or not those Ultralisks die in time. If the Adepts can help out just that little bit, we might be able to see it. But, those carriers are going to be doing less than 1 damage a shot to the Ultralisks per pass on their interceptors. So it's really going to be a question of how fast they can DPS those high armor Ultralisks down.
Yeah, and I think we're getting a little bit of lag on our side, but I mean, does anyone have any update on how this fight ended? I was imagining it went 0-2's way. Oh, maybe the Ultras...
Just updated. Ultralisks are still running around.
Oh, good
Yep,
call.
they survive.
Dang, the armor was too much, and they couldn't break through. All right, so the pot's still all to play for.
1 Liberator against 16 Adepts. That Liberator might have a little bit of hidden value here in this hand. If he gets something that can go in front of it and keep it alive. Jam playing this absolutely correctly, saying, you know what, I'm first to act. I'm just going to take your play away from you and go all in. I'm going to play the odds. Let's say you didn't get a good enough hand to call me with.
I like the table talk. 0-2 saying, no, don't worry, I'm going to blow this. I know you think you're in a deficit, but it doesn't matter. I know how I play, and I'm going to lose.
Heads up is a different beast than regular full table poker, and a lot of people don't get any practice with it. Basically, unless you sit at like specific heads up poker, like I'm speaking more in regular poker terms, but unless you sit at like specific heads up tables or you play a lot of sit and goes, a lot of people just don't have that heads up experience and they aren't aware of how it needs to affect their game. So a lot of players just aren't comfortable playing that heads up scenario.
Yeah, and I think, well, I mean, imagining with these antes too, you have to imagine there's not a lot of wiggle room as we're getting deep into the tournament. This one's looking like a tie.
Once again.
Left, yeah. Something's got to give here. The innings are going to keep going up, and these fights are going to keep coming through. So
this might be the one. 21 Hydralisks against 16 Adepts. Those Adepts are, well... Ooh. This one's going to be tough to call.
Actually, so the 13 I know 13 Medivacs, we talked earlier about how Medivacs are very low tier, but I think they might be pretty good with Hydras.
They might actually make a difference here in this fight. I don't know what to say about this one.
I'm feeling it with all these Medivacs. We'll see.
It looks like it's just too little too late. The Reapers and the Adepts just too effective against those light Hydralisks.
That said, they can't shoot up, so
they can't shoot up.
Yeah. I thought the healing was gonna do it for the Hydras, but he has to just deal with the tie, I guess.
Reaper's got to point that pistol to the sky, man.
0-2 joking that maybe he should stop wishing his opponent good luck in chat.
I like how Jim immediately gave him good luck. No, let's keep doing that.
Oh, those High Templar might actually get some damage in here. With all those air units stacking on top of each other.
And with the high amount of Stalkers, this might be it. You gotta like Jam's chances here.
And with the double up, it seems like we're frozen again on our side. There we go. Yep, Jam with the double up. Back in this game. As best as you can be with 3 bets to go.
No, for sure. Well, okay, so an Andy won by 0-2 there. Ooh, interesting. Jam's jamming. You got to do it with those 4 battle cruisers, I think. This is your chance.
Absolutely. You've got to go in with the 4 battle cruisers. He lucked out in that 0-2 only has the 2 Broodlords right now, so that's clearly going to be a win for Jam, but he's got to put his money in the pot first to see it go to showdown. Jam might just take it down right here.
All right, well, it looks like next hand now, 0-2 on...
Oh my goodness.
Jam with the hard counter.
Jam with the hard counter, but look at those Marines against the Reapers.
You got to think these Vikings are going to carry the day here, right?
I think the Vikings are going to carry it, but man, I've got a feeling sometimes those Reapers surprise me with their DPS.
So let's talk a bit about Viking AI, because the Vikings are going to tear through these carriers real quick.
They go to land.
And now it's fight time. They're landing and they're fighting these Reapers. Can they get this around?
And the Reapers go down. Jam doubles up once again, taking the lead.
Wow, now Jam's got a huge lead. And 0-2 staying.
All in immediately with the 10 Dark Templar.
Oh, no.
But 0-2 has the Ghosts. Oh, no. We're going to have another back and forth here.
So the Ghost EMP revealing the Templar and the Ultralisk taking him straight down.
Oh, is this the end?
The EMPs, no, I don't think so. I think the 0-2 lives this, right?
Yeah, 0-2 should pull this off.
For sure. EMP double hard countering Jam's Unicomp. 0-2's back in the lead.
We're at level 100 for our antes right now. There are officially 8 bets left in the game. This is an extremely long game. Most of the time, games end about 20 minutes of in-game time of go. So this is a special treat for us to be able to see this such a long, hard-fought match going on.
And this is, I think, what happens when you get the good players. Good players draw good cards, play good hands, and and being drawn out.
And have good games.
Very good games. And I think even here, Jam looks like a heavy favorite in this spot.
Jam should be taking this down unless those Ravagers get some miracle shots on those Ravens.
I think Ravagers got great shots on the Ravens, and it didn't matter. Jam just cleaned it up.
Ravens too strong.
Yeah, and now Jam's looking at 8 Colossi, thinking maybe I push again. We're about parity here, and with a lot of both players with 4 antes, the 100 chip antes.
Yep, thereabouts. 0-2 making the minimum raise with his 4 ante stack.
All right, right now Ravens also for Jam.
Those Ravens get some good shots off.
You gotta like Jam's ability to win here with the Colossi are just way too strong.
They should be, yeah. I think the Colossi are going to take this down here. Absolutely.
Great blink micro and all, but that AoE is just too much.
Too much DPS. Nothing you can do about it.
Now Jam pulling ahead. This is a real seesaw. We're blessed to see this in our first qualifier table.
This may be it. If Jam can get them all in, no, he cannot. 0-2 is going to survive to see another hand, even though he is completely outclassed that hand.
Yeah, instant surrender. He knows that one's not going anywhere fast.
We're up to 116 for the antes. Oh my goodness.
This is what happens when you get into 1 hour and 23 minutes of Battle Poker gameplay. This is how it is.
15 Lurkers and 3 Phoenix against 5 Cyclones and 12 High Templar. Let's see how this goes down. I think the Lurkers are going to spread out enough to be able to take down those High Templar, but it's still kind of a toss-up. Yeah,
it looks like the Lurkers are taking up good positions. I think we hit a bit of a stream lag again, but the positions that it looked like they were taking were strong. Yeah, and it's right. It's true.
There it is. Jam wins the table in first place, taking it down with 10 points. 0-2 in second place, with a well-deserved 8 points. Well played to both players.
Very, very nice.
Very long game there.
All right, so I think we're backed out. I think this is our tables. I think we're going to start getting ready for game 2. Bati, all right. Oh, and look at that. We have our leaderboards. It's looking like.
There we go.
So Pawn Ranger, I think, Bati, you mentioned as a pretty strong player on table 1 going into it. I know you liked Killers in that one, but you said Pawn Ranger was also a strong player, and he's sitting pretty on the top of that table.
Hey, can't complain about winning the first one, as they say. So we'll see what happens with the second game, but right now Pawn Ranger and Letterman sitting pretty in first and second place, respectively, at table 1. Jam and Fancy Hippo taking top 2 in table 2. Olilem and H-Mong at table 3 in top 2, and table 4 with Emmett and Drunk Archon.
Apparently H-Mong wants to be known or be called PSU for the rest of the stream.
Okay, we can do that.
Represent Penn State University, I guess his alma mater, or currently where he's studying. So
going to Nittany Lions. Yeah, no, for sure, PSU. So PSU in second, sitting behind Ollie. And last table, we saw Emmett. We saw this one go down. Emmett take it over Drunk Archon, and Sunsha, the unknown property, lurking in third. I like that. That's exactly where you want to be. I think that third place position is one where it's like, I'm still in this. I'm gonna fight real hard, and I think a first or a second in game 2 could push me into that final table.
Absolutely, but with the point values being as top heavy as they are, it could still be anybody's game. Anybody in the top half, roughly, I'd say, is still in the hunt. Absolutely.
One other little tidbit that we should announce is apparently Rhino Man has, after getting first or last place in table 3, has forfeited from game 2 already. So he will be getting last place for table 3. But I think aside from that, the rest of our tables are ready to go. Unless I hear otherwise, I think we should be ready to move into our second qualification round.
Very cool. Sure thing. So yeah, I think we're going to try to jump into table 2 now, and then before we get to the final table, we'll have a nice break, little stream break for our players and for us really, so that we can get ready for what's going to be a real interesting last table. I think what we saw from that first table was everybody starts the game with 100 gold, but the final table, as we said a bit earlier, is going to be a 300 gold game for every player. That's going to be really interesting because it's going to really allow a lot more time for expression of play. So I think you'll see less pressure from the Andes and more opportunity for the players to really put their mark on the game. I think
we're ready for the games to begin.
Let's do it. I think this decent. Man, game 1 got me so hyped for game 2, especially that final head-to-head between Jam and Fancy Hippo.
I was so sick to watch.
Jam and 0-2, not Fancy Hippo. Excuse me. I got fooled by the table. Yeah, it was so sick. I couldn't believe how much it was going back and forth.
All right, it looks like we are loading our games now, so we are about to start and step into our second round of qualification games. We now do have table 3 back. Hopefully we won't have the same issue.
Good to see, good to hear.
All right.
Let's do it.
Starting off in qualification table 1 again. And I'll hand it off
right off
for the main cast.
Zunk right off the bat, starting up with 16 Liberators and choosing to check them under the gun. This is a strong play. He's going to look for somebody like Lanzy, who just did raise with his 7 Thors, potentially going to come back around and look to put in the re-raise.
That's if Ladderman doesn't beat him too with these 22 Ravens.
Ladderman choosing to play it slow with just calling. Goofman with his 8 battle cruisers also in here with a legit hand. This is going to be a pretty interesting showdown if it goes that far. And there's that big re-raise we were talking about from Zunk with his 16 Liberators.
Yeah, you gotta like that check raise under the. It's basically a check raise, right, under the gun.
Check raise under the gun.
It's kind of like setting. It's almost like setting a widow mine down and waiting for the hydro ball to come in. You're putting that trap down. And you're saying, okay.
No. Ladderman getting the mothership to go with his Ravens. That's going to be more than enough to keep the Liberators at bay, I believe. Except for the fact that they're splashing all of the units on top of the mothership. I think we just had our first, what I like to call a misdeal, where all of the units in combat die before combat resolves. And all of the bets that were in the hand go back to their respective players. Even to the players that folded, they just get their antes and bets back. So we're back to square one. This is like playing hand number 1 all over again, except it's hand number 2.
That was wild. Yeah, so that's a pretty. Yeah, so I think this is a pretty rare scenario that can occur. People, it's not a full game reset. It's just a reset of the hand. So yeah, like you said, it's basically a misdeal. That's wild for the first hand of phase 2 here.
It does happen from time to time. It is rare, but it does happen.
Yeah,
usually Ravens are the one at fault for that.
I don't know if this speaks any omens for this table or what type of game we're going to have ahead for us, but I'm already excited for table 1.
Yeah, for sure. looks like the seasoned vet Killers knew exactly what happened there. He's like, oh yeah, I've seen that. I've played so many games of this that that's nothing new to me.
Let's see, we got some interesting hands here. Ladderman with 7 Thors and 5 Reapers. Metalcore with 4 Battle Cruisers and 11 Mutilisks. Killis, however, dominating the air with his 19 Corruptors. Unfortunately, there's not really any air for him to dominate. I think he's going to try to play this hand a little aggressively, and he's going to be sorely disappointed.
Not that disappointed.
Maybe not so much.
Yeah. Looks like he got the perfect hand to call him.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's dominating the air, so running into 2 air units is going to feel real nice for him. Yeah, Metalcore expressing his displeasure at the hand he ran into there. He knew right away when he saw it.
Every once in a while, you just run into your kryptonite, What can you do?
No, for sure. You got a strong hand, but But like you said before, I think that's the importance of maybe more aggressive betting, because as you said before, like winning hands before you can run into your kryptonite is very strong and really how you can build a stack in these tables.
So Sun here with 22 Mutalisks, one of my personal favorite hands to play with. I think Mutalisks are really interesting and high count in this game. Unfortunately, he's got two things working against him. He doesn't have any upgrades for the Mutalisks, and he's under the gun. He does choose to make that call from Zonk, who raised with his 18 Dark Templar. Let's see what he gets with, oh my goodness, 23 Ravens picked up for the Mutalisks. Zonk picks up 7 Siege Tanks, and Killas with the 5 Thors.
I think Sun checked waiting to go all in if somebody raises. Oh man, look at this.
Look at that bet. And look at the raise by Sun.
He was waiting for
the insta-call. That's gotta hurt.
So after this hand, I think we should take a quick look at table 4. Apparently one of our players has announced that he will go all in every hand until he loses.
Oh no, who is this?
Dragon.
Dragon did, okay.
Maybe someone. Well, it looks like he might have been at a bit of a low stack already, given that. Maybe he did it once or twice already, but no. Given that he was at a low stack, I think that makes sense. That he might just be saying, "Well, I got to go all in every hand."
He's doing some work here. Look at the High Templar and the Marauders. Storm's going down all over the place. The Marauders still taking some shots, trying to finish off those Queens. I don't know if it's going to be quite enough, but the Queens are running out of energy to transfuse each other.
Yeah, I mean, Queen's on low energy, but no energy for the Templars either, and they're just sitting ducks.
This is one of those rare cases where maybe if the High Templar actually had the auto attack that they have in the base game, it could have cleared it out for him.
Maybe. Oh, goodness.
So it looked like he's keeping his dream alive, at least, for now. That's only 18. Let's see if he follows up on his intention to all in every hand.
Yeah, well, interesting to see.
There it is.
But interesting to see Battle Game sitting on the big stack here, as you said earlier. He's like he was one of the early favorites of this tournament. Didn't have a great phase 1, but if he can start doing well here, he's calling.
Oh, I guarantee you Battle Games is looking for redemption right now. He's been studying for this tournament ever since it got announced, and he's been really excited about it. So I'm sure that he's looking to bring a first place home to make up for that last place he got in the first round.
Yeah, he's not going to be this happy with those ghosts.
Oof. However, he still has 2 of those well, as I started to speak, he had 2 of those Dark Templars still left alive, but of course they got shot down, possibly due to the Lurker Splash.
The Void Rays, though, can the Void Rays survive for Battle Games? It's looking like he's tearing through these air units. The Tempest, just too much.
So close.
The Thors got a couple big hits off, I think, before they died in the wild card.
Yeah, and the Tempests are just gonna pick away at the ground units, looking like a split pot between Dragon and Sunshine. That said, because Dragon was all in with such a small stack, he only splits that portion of the pot, meaning Sunshine looks like he wins a lot more gold due to the fact that he had much more at stake.
Absolutely. You can only win as much from each player as you put in the pot.
So I think we should go to our multi-seed. Apparently there's been some action at the other tables as well.
For sure. Whoa, table 2.
Omor sitting on top. Pretty. Nice and pretty.
Yeah, with Rokus and Kira already out.
So Kira out in 8th and Rokus out in 7th at table 2. And the 6 players still going at it. Holy Ball sitting pretty low. Looking like he's going to have to be making a move soon.
And shout out to Reach at table 3, currently in first place.
I'm not sure what happened, but it's only hand 6. How are some of our higher MMR players already out? They must have...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you catch a good hand, and then all of a sudden, so does your opponent. And they run into each other, and nope, I'm out. It's that simple.
So that's one thing I like to talk about in this game. Since you don't have set hand strengths and we don't have like a hand that's, say, aces that just absolutely beats everything else for the most part, you really have to kind of mitigate your risk early game and keep in mind that you can't win a poker tournament on the first hand, but you can sure lose it. So a lot of these players that have been coming up like to play this ultra aggressive early game style where they pick up a big hand and they look to try and double and triple up really early with a big all in and get a couple of calls. It's not something I personally think is a good idea. I prefer to play a little bit more conservatively and bide my time, wait to get all in until I absolutely have to, and try to play small ball poker before that.
And I think that might especially be true in like the tournament setting, right? Because now you're seeing, taking an ace is just in round 2. This is it. This is your only shot.
To take a quick look at the fourth table, where Dragon is continuing his run of all-inning, but he may be reaching his end against bad at games right now.
Oh, bad with the 21 wild card. That's going to hurt. It's going to be a matter of if he rolled enough air damage to take out these carriers. He does have a Tempest in the back.
I have to imagine the Tempest and the Battle Cruiser are going to...
Yeah, that's going to do it.
All right, well, Dragon's unorthodox strategy basically puts him where he should
be. Unfortunate. 7th place for Dragon, but thank you for coming out, man.
For sure. And bad at games, getting another pot and sitting with the large stack here.
179 chips at 3 ante is a pretty good feeling to be at. 60 bets deep, plenty of poker to be played, plenty of time to accumulate some chips from your opponents before the squeeze of the ante starts becoming a problem.
Maybe we could do a quick transition over to game 2, which I don't think we've looked at yet. We have Gar barely surviving this hand right now.
Yeah, I think we looked at the leaderboard earlier to see Kira and Rokus.
Sorry, I was looking at table 3 is what I actually referenced before. I meant to reference.
Well,
so many tables, so many screens. I apologize. So Gar just held on after going all in.
All right, so yeah, it's looking like Gar, PSU, and CAO are sitting at the bottom here. I think, again, we should probably chat with the observer about getting the allied colors off. Yeah, looking like a big air unit battle between the Vikings and the Phoenixes, with Ravens coming in hot as well. I imagine, looks like we have a bit of a stall here, so maybe we switch to another channel. All right, so let's go back to table 1. Table 1, we're seeing these Tempests slowly chip away at the Ultra armor.
Yeah, those are going to be some dead Ultras very shortly.
The 10 seconds the fight came up, but not close enough. Zunk survives that all-in with those Tempests and is now no longer the bottom stack.
We have Lanzi waking up here with 17 wild cards. I'm not seeing a whole lot else really effective from other players. Possibly Pone Ranger playing his 12 Banshees, although I could see him folding those as well. Maybe Goofman's 4 Battle Cruisers bringing some money into the pot, but I think this is going to be whoever makes the first bet is going to take this one down.
Yeah, and I think these types of hands are the ones where you get where you see kind of that aggressive strategy paying off. That first bet really taking out so many other players and saying, oh, okay, now we can play. The ones who are serious about playing should be here, not these other goofballs. That's it.
You say that, but here we are with the goofballs of the wild cards and what was it, 7 Hydralisks?
That's true, and now the goof man takes down the bot. All right.
Oh, man.
Well, we still have a full table here at table 1. It looks like maybe a little more conservative play here as we're trying to, as these players are really trying to move forward in this tournament.
Lanzi is active again here.
Looks like we have a couple more players knocked out. Perhaps we could take a look at the multi-table real fast and come back to this table just to show everyone the couple new knockouts we have.
So Holy Ball did go down in 5th. Or 6th at table 2, excuse me. I think that's I think we saw him as a low stack and all in before we cut away. It looks like he did lose that hand. Meanwhile, table 3, CAO out in last and Gar in 6th. I think that was, like you said before, Concordia, Gar I think was hanging on by his fingernails and was able to at least scrape together one more point before he got eliminated. pot's looking interesting. Plays moving forward, and we got a nice little raise here coming up from Ladder Man.
You know, those single points that everybody's fighting over are going to make the difference between who makes second and who makes third. I know that we have that second chance table for the third and fourth place finishers, but I can't imagine anybody in our tournament is going to be satisfied with anything less than top two at their qualification table.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. It's a cool consolation prize for third and fourth, but if you're here to win. You're not here to go to the consolation prize, right? This is a tournament, and you got to be number one.
Man, and I'll even say this, forget the money. I just want to play for that avatar.
For sure, man. So actually, I know we talked briefly about the avatar. So the avatar is going to be the same for all people on the final table, or is there like a unique avatar for first place?
Believe.
All right, so it sounds like, yeah, so everyone on the final table gets one, and then I think I also heard there was one for the winner of the consolation table. We'll also get one. And then,
from what I understand, the winner of the final table will get a champion skin, and then everyone in the final table will get a contender skin, and then the winner of the runner-up table will also get the contender skin that everyone in the final table gets.
Quick question for Bhatti, and I'm seeing this in the chat, and so maybe it'll be a 5-minute delay answer on the stream. But the wild card, what is the limit of the wild card? Because I know we have a 50 food cap, but obviously the wild card has a different food amount units. So
wild cards are considered 2 supply, so you can have up to 25 of them in your hand. That absolutely does mean that you can break the food cap. If you roll 25 wild cards, there's a slight, albeit a chance, that you roll, for example, 25 battle cruisers.
Oh, man.
So it's possible. Not likely, but it's possible.
Yeah, for sure. That is an interesting question, and something that should be talked about. You can roll really high on those wild cards. That said, it looks like, would you consider Void Rays the number one counter to Tempest? They fly right in and just lock on with that high frequency beam and take them right down.
Those Void Rays are a great counter against anything that's armored. It's impressive how much damage they do, especially now that they use that special ability, the what's it called? The flux capacitor? Flux veins?
Flux veins, yes.
Flux veins, yeah, that give them the bonus damage against armored. It's impressive. You'd think only 12 Void Rays, not really that much HP, but they put out so much damage, they can kill a lot of units before they get killed in return. So they can melt quite a few of these matchups that they end up against.
Yeah, I think the Void Rays, especially good at I feel like Void Rays always are so good at single target damage. So when you get them against a high, like you said, the armored units, and especially those battle cruiser, capital ship type units, you got to really like Void Rays in those fights. All right, now it looks like Goofman and Metalcore heads up. Metalcore is sitting on the wild cards plus Tempest. Goofman, on the strength of his Phoenix carrier army, is liking his hand.
I'm liking Goofman's raise here. This is an extremely strong hand. Phoenix can pick up a lot of ground units and nullify them from being able to do anything. And of course, they do excellent anti-air damage. So this is a great hand from Goofman. I'm glad he was able to get a call there and get some more chips in the pot.
No, for sure. And for a second, I saw one of the wildcard units was an Infestor, which landed a beautiful fungal on every single Phoenix. And I thought, oh, maybe there is a chance. Maybe Metalcore's got this, but nah, there's just too many. They tore right through them.
Strength in numbers.
And 23 is a lot of Phoenixes. I mean,
especially with the pickup micro that they have. I mean, it's impressive how they can just run in and pick up half of a ground army and have the other half of the Phoenixes just melting them away.
For sure. I'm scared when my gold units, when I'm playing it in gold StarCraft and my opponent has that many Phoenixes, I'm scared. And they have terrible micro. So imagine the AI's micro. It's what can you do?
This looks like it's going to be another hand where the first person to bet's going to take it down. Metalcore has a pretty strong hand with his 18 Vikings, but that's about it.
Yeah, easy pickup for Metalcore. I think that's a great bet. Take the antes, put them in your pocket, say go next.
Yeah, especially with these antes getting as big as they are, taking down a pot before uncontested is definitely going to be valuable coming up here, especially for some of these shorter stack players that really just need to get it all in and consider the fact that, you want to go all in while you still have enough of a stack to make your opponent want to fold. Even with the one card or with the 2-card system, when you're only betting on your first card, it's really difficult to guarantee that you're strong enough to get that win. And sometimes if you wait until the second card, other opponents realize they don't have a good enough hand to call, and you can't make any more money off of them.
We can maybe check out right now.
Well, I think we have an all-in here as well. If you want to stick around, yeah, I think Kill is all in with his high Templars. All right, you can go to 3 now. Everybody folded.
Big fight in the middle.
Kill is earning some much-needed gold there.
For sure. Oh yeah. All right.
So big.
Okay.
The fight is so big the stream doesn't even load.
Dang, that's a fight. All right, so looks like we're having some trouble at table 3. So table 1 looks like Zunk just went all in based on the gold counts.
There it is. Table 3 is back now.
Table 3 is back, and it looks like well, it looks like it was a nail biter for sure. It's funny to see the table talk after that one. I was going to ask actually about the table talk before when we saw that that hand go through where the Vikings took a pot without any calls. I noticed that the player who did it, and it's escaped me who it was right now, but the player who did it then told the table that he had Vikings, and I was wondering if that sort of psychological warfare is something that we would be seeing more of as the games went on.
Absolutely. So it's setting up a future play. You're trying to tell your opponents, hey guys, look, I was telling the truth this time. I had a real hand. You did a good job not calling me. Setting up that expectation that next time they go all in, everybody's going to go back and think, hey, he said he had Vikings last time. Maybe he has a real hand this time and I should fold. So he's setting up that expectation that, every time he goes all in that he has a good hand, making it easier for him to try to set up bluffs in the future if his opponents believe him.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So it's funny because I think in real poker you can show your hand after everybody folds, right? You can just flip over your cards. Yeah. You don't have that equivalent here, but you do have the ability to even to say what you had. So you could talk. You can say, "Oh, I had Vikings." Maybe you didn't. Maybe you just had 10 Marines. Like they don't know.
Yeah, unless they go back and watch the stream or watch the replay, they'll never know. But that is one aspect of this game, is that you can go back and watch the replay from your opponent's point of view.
That's actually really interesting, and I wonder if that was a tool utilized by any of these players before this tournament, to go back to their games that they played with some of their opponents and see how they played.
I'm not going to mention any names, but I have seen a few of our Battle Poker players in the tournament this evening in replays earlier today. I don't know if they were just looking at regular StarCraft 2 replays or maybe they were doing exactly that, but coincidence? Who knows?
I don't know. By the way, again with the 5-minute delay chat, we are being reminded that the Void Ray ability is called Prismatic Alignment.
Prismatic Alignment, okay.
So there it is. Thank you, Novak, in the chat.
Prismatic, but the Flux Fans is the speed upgrade for the Void Ray. Then it must be, right?
It's one of the Void Ray upgrades, or one of the older ones in a previous version. The Flux Fans used to be something for a Void Ray.
Guys,
You can see it's been a couple months since I've been playing so much serious StarCraft 2. You can see that.
I was gonna say, you know what? Listen, I'm a Terran player. I don't need to know what other races do. I just press stim and A move. Like,
I'm a Zerg, and this game has been all that I've played StarCraft-wise for the past 6 months. So, I mean, sorry.
I mean, it's as you can tell, it's a pretty addictive game. That said, looks like we have a big pot forming in front of us here. Olem pulling those 22 TTs.
He makes the raise to 72. Pretty big raise for this size pot. The DTs are going to get through safely.
Reach all in. I think we're hitting. I think we've been seeing a couple lag spikes when the actual battles go down on this table. But I have to imagine the way the hand is shaping up, we're going to see Olin split the pot with either Reach or Ludwig. That'd be my guess, because those TTs are just going to survive, and then I imagine Reach's Vikings will probably clean up the other areas.
Yeah, I mean, the only chance that those DTs have of dying would be getting splashed by the Ultralisks, and I just don't see that happening in any scenario in this fight.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it might be better to swap to... Oh, we're seeing it.
Oh, we're back.
Was that right? I think I was right.
Yep, Ali and
Ali wins. Yeah.
See,
Oh, but it looked like it was a split, right? It was split pot.
That's what I said.
Right.
Yeah, because the DTs probably survived, and the Vikings cleaned up all the air units. So I'm gonna
A quick look at table 4.
pat myself on the back for that one.
You can see our friend Batic Games, who got last place, is now still in first place.
For sure. It looks like Drunk Archon out in 6th at this table, and Bene out at 5th. So sitting with Batic Games, Sunsha, Emmett, and Laserface. I think Emmett won the first round at this table, so he's probably thinking, second place here and I'm golden, right? First and second, you're guaranteed to be in the top table there, right?
I mean, yeah, with the first place here and then top 4, I can't imagine Emmett's going to be finishing anywhere less than the top 2. For
sure. And Sunsha takes that pot down. Sunsha, I think, was in 3rd going into this, so definitely a player. One to watch out for.
The note about this table, though, is that Dark Archon got 2nd place in the first qualification round, and he only has 6th place now. So I'd say that 2nd position is also open for grabs right now.
Did you say Dark Archon or Drunk Archon?
Drunk Archon.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think when that happens, everyone who's lower has to be licking their lips. This is their opportunity. This is what they were waiting for. Oh man, the siege tank's sitting perfectly for these infestors. Look at these fungals.
Yeah, but look at where the infested Terrans are being placed right on top of those tanks. You have to wonder how much they're going to splash themselves to death here.
Yeah, it's like, man, I thought for sure the infestors had that, but it looks like big lurker damage coming through.
Nope, the lurkers. So this is another quirk of the AI currently. Units are programmed to try and ignore summoned units whenever possible. So these lurkers do not see these infested Terrans as a target currently, and they're not going to burrow to kill them.
Oh, but it's okay.
But they expire. Just in time they expire. Oh my goodness.
Oh no!
Oh wow!
Hearing now from production that Killas has been knocked out at table 1 in 7th place. Zunk in 8th. Looks like.
Alex.
Yeah. So Killas looking like they are going. So Killas, unfortunately, going down to the bot curse.
The bot curse.
I'm sorry, Killas. I'm so sorry.
Is it solidified now? The bot curse.
I think it's real. It has to be. Dang, yeah, for sure. Look at this. So many Tempests. Goofman, taking this one. Oh, wait a second. Are they gonna live? Is there enough time?
There might be enough time. Those Tempests simply don't do enough damage to ground units. Especially oh goodness, 10 seconds left. This
How
is
many
gonna
are
be
there?
tight.
Oh, wait, there's one.
If they get one more volley.
Oh, they got it.
My goodness.
And a goofy win for the Goofman. Taking out Lanzi in 6th place. All right, and he's up. 12 for player now.
Yep, Metalcore down to just 1 bet left. He's going to be looking to go all in here sometime soon. Checking with the 24 Stalkers, I can't imagine he's looking to actually check that down. He's looking to try to hopefully trick somebody into betting and get all in here. I would hope. Especially with the +2/+2.
For sure. I think this is really going to be an interesting hand. And I think now that we're down to 5 players, we're going to start seeing some more of that small table betting. And really putting the squeeze on Metalcore, who is, in fact, all in.
Some massive hands here. Metalcore picking up 8 carriers along still with that Protoss +2/+2 upgrade. Goofman getting some Phoenixes to go along with his Queens, and Sun has a good count of Roaches to go with a few Void Rays in the back. Powerhouse hands all around.
Yeah, big unit compositions coming through. Lots of money in this pot. 2 players all in. Anything can happen. You really gotta like the big carrier amount here, really pushing through.
Carriers do excessively well, not just because of their good damage, but because they get to sit back and fire from afar. they don't take a whole lot of damage straight up, especially if you have something like these Stalkers that can go in front of them and take the damage. So they're really great at just kind of surviving in these multi-way pots, making sure that you get a cut of the pot at the end.
Yeah, and the Protoss 2-2 in that hand was going to give so much value to those carriers, those interceptors, those high attack speed.
For sure, I think. And there you see Lanzi now out at 6 from that hand. I think Metalcore was all in, and that's why he he basically doubled up, or I guess tripled up, huh? Because he got 3 opponents there.
Yeah. Well, wildcard units here up against Lurkers and Ravens. Unfortunately, I don't think the wildcards are going to make it this time.
No, this is...
We have a big pop brewing in table 3 up. A couple people folded out. A couple people folded out at the last second.
But that's still PSU and Ludwig. I guess Ludwig all
for a 300 chip pot. Oh my goodness. The winner of this pot is the chip leader. And PSU coming out on top.
PSU!
Representing Penn State strong these games.
Dropping all happiness in the Happy Valley as Ludwig falls in 4th place and PSU takes the stack lead.
PSU making the raise to 40 with his 11 Banshees, 18 Infestors. Ollie already called the 1 bet. Now it looks like he's up first with the second card, deciding on what to do. Big bet to 100 here.
That's a huge bet for Ollie, and a well-timed one, too, because those Banshees are going to be pretty useless against his air army.
Yep. But still, Banshees are really effective in that they cloak for the first 15 seconds of combat, so PSU may not be thinking about that. He may be more worried about thinking that his Infestors with the Infested Marines could take on any air and just leave the ground to the Banshees, but having a little bit of a hiccup in the stream again.
Well, we do know already, though, from table 3, it looks like Olilem and PSU will move on. We have Zorminter still in at 3rd place, but getting 6th place during the first qualification table. Even if he wins, there's no way he would only get 13 points. And if PSU got 3rd place with 8 right now, he'd be at 14. So regardless of what happens in table 3, it looks like PSU and Olilem will be moving on to the final table.
Congratulations to both of them.
Yeah, for sure. I think PSU Olilem played really good games, and PSU really came through in the clutch in that last hand against Ludwig. So, congrats. Looking forward to gassing them in the final table.
Yep, in table 2, if we look at this, Jam is a strong favorite to move on. He won the first qualification table, so he already has 10 points.
So 0-2, I think, ran 0-2 ran 2nd in the first game, and he looks like he is going to be out in 3rd here.
Yeah, and it's the same situation, actually. Goatee, who is actually demolishing right now.
So where was Goatee?
They got last place in the first qualification table.
No.
So regardless of their position, it looks like Jam and 0-2 will be moving on from this table.
That's congrats. So congrats to Jam and 0-2. Goatee, I think hopefully this first place is good enough to see Goatee into the consolation table, and good luck to him there. I think that it'd be really sick for him to get one of those Archons. Maybe let's look at. I think when we were at the multi-screen before, I saw table 4 had 2 players all in.
Yeah, let's see if we can figure out for table 4.
So what are the scenarios looking like here? It looks like this is it's a huge pot. 300 golden in this pot and Laserface all in.
Emmett coming up with those Thors. Looks like they've got some coverage from the Broodlords, which may keep him alive. Those Thors, they're just not as tanky as they quite seem to be on their own, but if you can cover them, they do so much damage to ground units, it's ridiculous.
Well, all of Laserface's units are out, and therefore he will be eliminated in 4th. Baddock Games and Emmett playing for the remainder of that pot. Baddock Games, can these Void Rays get through? Probably not. It seems like there's...
there's the 10 seconds. That's not going to happen, unfortunately.
So Baddock Games and Emmett going to chop up Laserface's money and give them to each other. Maybe a high five over the table. Congratulate each other. Down to 3. So Baddock Games still sitting with the stack here. Emmett and Sunsha both fighting for positioning. I think, if I remember correctly, did Emmett win on this table in Phase 1?
Emmett did win first place in Table 4 in
Yes.
Phase 1.
And
So I'm thinking, that means Emmett's got to be sitting pretty to be at one of our players at the final table here.
math is a little bit less straightforward. It will definitely be, but depending on what happens with Bada and Sunsia.
And we did just get an update from production. Pawn Ranger and Ladderman are now mathematically our 2 qualifiers from Table 1. So congratulations to Pawn Ranger and Ladderman. This table now being our last kind of question mark. This is an interesting case right now. If Sun gets 3rd place and Badat wins, they will both be tied in overall points for the 2nd place position. Interesting. I wonder if Badat realizes his only chance is to knock out specifically Sunshine.
Yeah, that's important. That's important for him to realize right now.
It's tough with this tournament structure because probably when you play this, you don't think about how everyone else is doing. You only think about how you're doing. But the way this tournament's built out, you gotta also consider what your opponents and figure out which one you're taking down.
Small fight going on down here. Small pod, rather. Looks like the Ultralisk and the Marines are going to take it down.
Some more chips funneling to Sunshine. You can't, from Badat Game's perspective, that can't feel good. Especially with Emmett only sitting at a stack of 86.
This should be an all-in from Emmett with 7 Thors. He's only sitting on, about 3 blinds left, so it's go time, I think, with 3 players left at the table.
For sure, and I think he's probably going to collect these antes. I don't see these guys calling.
I can maybe see Sandra calling with the lurkers.
9 lurkers, it's enough.
Oh, wow, and he picks up 19 wild cards to go with him.
This is going to be an interesting hand. I think the 19 wild card draw is nice. So this is it. This is it for Badat Games. Emmett's already in the finals, but Badat Games really needs Emmett to pull through here.
Emmett looking pretty strong. If those Thors can stay alive to deal with the carrier, there's a chance.
Looking like the Thors are all gone.
Maybe a split pot?
Yeah, it's maybe a split.
It's shaping up to be a split, I believe, with all the air units that are out. So that's okay. So everyone's still alive. More to play for. Unless these, I don't think, right? There's no way. I'm starting to get scared there for a second. I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna.
No way. Not in this. A couple seconds left.
All right. So again, I think we've made it clear, but Emmett's through, and really how this table shakes out is going to decide who's going to be the 2nd player from this from Table 4.
Yeah, that's the one thing we're watching and waiting to see on.
Gotta say that if Sunja actually goes out 3rd, and if Badat Games actually wins, and if Badat Games actually wins the tiebreaker to move on, after going out last place in his first table, he's got to be my new pick to win the whole thing.
Yeah, that would be quite a comeback story.
That's basically the game wanting you to win at that point.
Yeah, at that point you can't fight it. The deck is just hitting you in the face so hard, you just have to ride it, and there you go. Take it wherever it takes you.
I feel like that's like the StarCraft 2 equivalent of like a reverse sweep.
Yeah.
Sure. Actually, so I don't know if we discussed the tiebreaker format, but I believe, and Concordia, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe if 2 players are tied on points and it decides, who gets what seeding for the tables, we're going to stream them just going heads up in a game where they go all in every hand. So basically, instead of having a coin flip or doing over all the dice, we're going to let the BattlePoker programming decide.
Seems fitting to be at the whim of the RNG.
So all 3 players in this hand, are we going to get any resolution on our final spots? Let's see. Emmett is going out. It looks like
Well, I mean, I think we're
It's such a small pot.
Yeah, I think this is just a blind spot, right? It's looking like, which is interesting because Sunshine was sitting on a stack of ravens. You'd think he would have tried to make a move there.
Sunshine may have been first to act and decided to try to slow play and go for the check raise.
Yeah, that might have been it. We were busy discussing the tiebreakers that I missed that, but yeah, looking like Sunshine's going to clean up these antes. Oh, getting an update from production. I think we had previously stated that Pawn Ranger was through, but there is a wrinkle there. The Goofman can win this game in order to force a tie with Pawn Ranger. So if the Goofman is able to take down first place here, we will see a tie on this table as well. I think so. That could be pretty interesting. I think Ladderman is guaranteed through because he's going to finish top 3. And we might see a tie between Pawn Ranger and Goofman for that second spot. That said, Ladderman just gave the beat down to Goofman's units and picked up that 160 pot.
Well, still with 32 antes. I won't say plenty of poker to be played, but it could be anyone's game. Goofman and Metalcore sitting at very similar stacks right now. But even then, they're not that far away from Ladderman. One double up, and they're going to be right on top. So anything could happen still.
All right, Metalcore betting it all on the DTs and maybe being paid off here. Looking like they're not getting picked up by the Hellion splash.
Looks like we're still seeing anti-trading and table 4. I'll let everyone know if any action is developing.
All right. Well, I think I think now we got 2 interesting tables to go through, and this one's looking pretty fine. Goofman sitting on 13 queens.
That's got to be a go pan for him. I know 13 queens are not exactly as many as you want to get when you're talking about queens, but with the stacks being as short as they are, he's got to pick something to go with, and I feel like the queens might be his best bet, especially now that he's picked up a mothership.
He didn't like the mothership. He didn't call. And Goofman now sitting at the low stack.
And now we have the problem where he's sitting on like a bet and a half. Even if he goes all in, he has no fold equity.
For sure, and I think if he's running into Metalcore's 25 Ravens. Whoa, it's just too many. Metalcore's raise is too good, and Goof drops again. It's now or never.
Well, Goof's patience pays off. He picks up 24 Stalkers. He doesn't have the upgrades to go with them. Metalcore has 9 Marauders, and Ladderman has 10 Vikings. The 10 Vikings are going to come along for the ride. I don't think we're going to get another dime out of Ladderman, though. Well, they're all in, so it doesn't matter.
Sure.
Of course, we're not going to.
For sure not with Goofman on all in. I think hopefully he can get to this Colossus, because that's really the only bee in his bonnet there. Okay.
There we go.
I gotta say, I like a good comeback story. So I even though I am a caster and I am unbiased, I do find myself rooting for Goofman. I think it'd be real interesting to see him pull out a tie here.
So Emmett has been knocked out in 3rd place of table 4, which I unfortunately believe precludes Battet from being able to qualify. I'll just double.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, double check the math, but I think based on what we were talking about before, it sounds like that's Emmett and Sunshine going through at table 4.
I'm looking at it right now. I believe that's correct.
So that means Goofman, by the way, all in and won a couple antes, and now is raising these Liberators, but he ran straight into a higher count of battle cruisers. This is not great for Goofman.
Those Marines trying to stutter step towards the swarm host. I don't know. Well, I take that back. It is going to be more than enough to take care of them.
Oh man, that was pretty nice. As a Terran player, I was very impressed with that micro. I wish I had that stutter stepping down. And the Yamatos took out the Liberators real quick, finished that fight off in a jiff.
Man, getting a little lucky here, waking up with his 15 Dark Templar. Unfortunately, Metalcore has 22 High Templar. It's going to be a matter of whether or not he chooses to play them. You could go either way at this 3-handed table. We're just getting word from production. The tables 2 and 3 have finished up. We officially have, I think this has already been updated, but just in case we haven't, from table 2 we have Jam and 0-2. From table 3 we have PSU and Ollie moving on.
So those combined with Ladderman here, Emmett, and Sunsha are the 7 players who have qualified for the final table. The very last issue here is whether or not Goofman can. If Goofman takes down this table, he will force a tie with Pawn Ranger. If not, Pawn Ranger will be the 8th player at the final table.
His ante's getting sky high once again, up to, I think it was 52.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. Oh man, the classic Corruptor versus Brood Lord battle.
Oh no.
Good for the Goofman. That said, it looks like the Cyclones...
Two.
Yeah,
4.
with 4 Cyclones alive, it will be... Oh, will it be a split pot? That's too many Cyclones, I think.
That's a lot of Cyclones. They might be able to finish them off.
Oh no.
Oh, man.
Where's the timer? 10 seconds left. Oh, I don't think it's going to be enough. Oh my goodness, they pulled it off.
All right. Just getting word that Game 4 is also finished, so this is it for the preliminary rounds. We're on the last table, and still to play for the Goofman. These are some crazy hands we're seeing. Blinds are starting to get into because after we're past the hour mark, blinds start really ramping up. And so this is interesting. The Liberators are going to try to target, but
This is quite a hand to watch. Well, that mothership isn't staying alive.
No.
Neither are those lurkers.
All right, looking like Ladderman taking that one down. Now we're down. It's really tense final table here. Full checks around. Ladderman picking up some carriers. Maybe Metalcore thinking the Immortals might be good enough.
Yeah, he put the Marines in the back like he should have. If he put the Marines in the front, those Banelings would have been enough to take care of them, and the carriers would have cleaned up here. Fortunately, Goofman was smart enough to put those Marines behind the Hellbats, keeping them safe.
Yeah, it's looking like the carrier cleanup crew is here.
The carrier cleanup crew cleaning up these swarm hosts. They'll turn right back around and take care of those two. I'm sorry, the 2 Immortals here shortly.
I like the way the Interceptors just quickly got back to finish off that last one. All right, nice pickup for Ladderman. He'll get those antes. And what do you think? I mean, 23 Hellbats, that might be something.
At this point in the game, 23 Hellbats is definitely playable. When you're this short on chips, you got to go with whatever the best reasonable looking hand that you can possibly wait for, and 23 Hellbats is definitely going to be that. It fits the bill.
So it looked like it was playable, but he didn't want to push any more than the antes in on it. And you see why the 3 Ultralisks really tearing everything apart.
You know, I almost feel like we undervalue Ultralisks just a little bit on the tier list. They absolutely wreck so many things on the ground. They really only have trouble with Thors and Immortals. I mean, they do so much work.
Now here's a hand. All three players with solid units.
Oh boy, here we go. Metalcore all in. Goofman actually finds a fold with his... Didn't he have Dark Templar? Oh my goodness.
He did. And he might have gotten exposed by those Oracles.
Yeah, very true.
So maybe he'd be a better fold than he could know. But the Mortals here are not going to be able to stand up, even though they are the counter to the... Oh, wait, hold on. As I was saying, they are the counter to these...
Those Immortals are strong.
But +2/+2 Protoss, and he's hard countering the Vikings and the siege tanks.
Yep.
You see what happens when Immortals fight armored units. Wow. I mean, there's nothing else to say. It just... Protoss OP.
Well, this should be it for Goof going in with his 17 wild cards. Ladderman has 16 Liberators. Doesn't pick up a lot of help with the 4 Siege Tanks, but I could still see him. We're still all in already, so
This is
it's a
it.
moot point at this point. Let's see if those tanks can get some damage in before they get bursted down.
Yeah, those Marines sitting around in the Liberators. Goodbye.
Oof.
Yeah, they just completely destroyed. Goofman surviving, making this final table just draw it a little longer. He doesn't want to go quietly. I think now we're seeing, I think, how a small, like, when we're down to only a couple players at the hand, how these like middling hands that like we would never even consider playing before, start becoming. You know what? I think that might be the best hand at the table. 22 roaches. Those could have been pretty good in this opportunity.
Absolutely. It's like I said, when you get down to 3 and 4 handed, you have to open up your horizons a little bit and play hands that you normally wouldn't. Hands like that, at a full table, it's so much more likely that somebody else has something that's going to beat you. When you're only up against 3-4 people, it's a lot more likely that you can squeak something by with a hand like that.
And now we're sitting on some pretty interesting hands. I think we got checks all around on like a couple of pretty strong units with small counts, and then another check all around. So we're going to just see a quick community pot.
Oh, here come those Liberators. Only 5 of them, but it might be enough to get the job done.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's it. Metal takes the Annies down, and now the Goofman on the small.
Goof up against the fence here.
Yeah, he's got to do it now. And 4 DTs is exactly what we want to see in this situation.
Oh my goodness.
Man, when you're sitting with barely any chips left, and you go, oh no.
Ladderman gets the ghost to counter. That's gonna be it. That's gonna be if the ghosts get the EMPs off.
Maybe the
There's one. Are they gonna get there? No, they're gonna shoot the banelings. The DTs are gonna live.
Wait. So no, that's it. He's gonna survive this.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, also I think with all those ghosts getting blown up by the banelings, there's no way that these two BCs could ever fight through this size army. And even if they do kill all these banelings, there's still 4 TTs cloaked in there to be able to get through. So yeah, this is an easy job. All right, man. Metalcore. I think you gotta like Metalcore's wake up there with the 22 Phoenixes.
Oh, gotta love it. Unfortunately, he is up against 23 Stalkers and 17 Hydralisks, so those 22 Phoenix might not be able to lift enough of those units to survive, but they're certainly going to put up a hell of a fight.
Well, Goofman basically committed. Oh, he folded. Interesting.
Look at that. 3 really good hands, and Metalcore takes it down with a nice bet. Just nobody really willing to commit their chips to the pot with that. That's really, really interesting. Any of those 3 hands I would have gone all in with in this situation.
Especially with Goofman's, basically not even able to make an ante at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is going to be maybe Goofman's Infestors can get some stuff done, but it looks like the Hydras are focusing him down.
One Colossus trying to do work.
I think he's succeeding.
It is.
It's getting there. I think
the battlecruiser can tank for it. Look at that.
Oh boy. And that's it.
Oh wow.
Winning with 1 card and 1 card. That should be an achievement.
Oh right.
2 Colossi, 1 battlecruiser was his comp. That's nuts. So Goofman, GG, Goofman out in 3rd. I think that solidifies that table 1 will be Ladderman and Pawn Ranger, so congrats to both of them. Yeah, Pawn Ranger recognizing it. There it is. So congrats to those 2. We're going to play out this table for seeding, and then we're going to start. I think we have a short break coming up, and then we'll start that final table.
Sounds good to me. I'm looking forward to this final table. This is going to be the first situation where these players have the opportunity to play some deep stack battle poker. So it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to having so much more chips on the table, being able to navigate a little bit with some more bluffs, some more betting and raising.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch.
So I think standard battle poker is the 100 stacks you're seeing now. So this is kind of a unique thing for this tournament. So like you said, very interesting to see what the players are going to be, how the players are going to adapt to having such big stacks. Boy, these poor battle crews are just getting turreted on.
Oh man, just these Ravagers raining down biles on them.
It's wild.
Yeah, Ravagers actually have decent anti-air. I think one thing that a newer player might not realize when playing this game for the first time is that if you get a decent number of Ravagers, the way that all the air units stack up, you can get some nasty biles that you most likely would not get in a normal StarCraft game.
For sure, and I think that is actually enough for Ladderman. A Ladderman, last man in, wins the round. Congrats to Ladderman. We look forward to casting you in the finals. And GG to Metalcore. I think he played really well to get second there.
Absolutely.
So I think with that, if we put in Ladderman and Goofman and Metalcore's positionings, we'll see our final table. So I think based on the numbers, that'll be Pawn Ranger, Ladderman, Jam, 0-2, PSU, Ololem, Emmett, and Suncha. So congratulations to you 8. We are going to go on a short break now and then gather those players, give everyone some time to adjust to their new stacks, and get ready to go for our